All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, 17 pieces of wood there. Most of them are logs. Some of the bigger ones we've split down the middle with a chainsaw. Anyway, it's time to take my shop and turn it into a resaw unit. The only problem is I keep having more wood in here and more of this, more of that, and I'm running out of space. So anyway, I'm gonna have to transform this and take that bandsaw over there in the corner and get my bench out and set up a resaw position. And my stuff's in the back of the shop back there. So let me get it out and see what we can do. All right, we get those sides on, 2 tables, and then the weight bucket over there right by the vacuum sweeper. Get the winch and the charger out, and we'll set this up. Had a little fortune getting my stuff cleared out. Of course, I knocked over my cedar bark again. The third, fourth time I picked that up. Teach me to do that. Anyway, I've moved some of the things that are on wheels out in the driveway to give me some room. Fixed my tables a little bit. I had a bearing, or I had a bolt that was just embedding into the oak. I put oak on the bottom of them, and they were wearing down. When I first parted, they didn't work like this, so then I put a metal plate underneath there, and where that caster comes up through there, and that hopefully will fix that with that 1/8 inch thick steel. And I've got to get those parts out and move this out, and I'm going to have to put this back in a corner when I get those moved out, and then pull the bandsaw out. So making some room. So I've cleaned up some messes that I've had for a while, fixing a few things, and getting her ready to go. All right, putting some stuff up, moving it around, make a little more room. Move Mr. Bandsaw out here into the middle of the room. Put my tables on there and all that good stuff. And then at nighttime I can roll this all back in and then roll it back out in the morning. Look at there. I've got company. Some of the best company in the world just showed up.
Who did?
Some of the best company in the world just showed up.
Me or the dogs?
Well, I was thinking about all 3 of you together. It's one package deal.
That works.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Come on, get up.
Here we go. Little flower time. So here we go. All right, we're going to put a Wood Saber 1 inch 3 hook recommended for resawing exotic hardwoods. And it's going to go on this saw right here. It's a Hercules 2-horse bandsaw. And we're going to put that in right now. That is a carbide tipped resaw. Carbide resaw, so it says. So I think the tips have been reinforced with carbide. We'll find out. I've never used a carbide saw on this blade on this saw. I've always used a steel blade, and I have used some that had a hardened edge, but they weren't much better than these. So maybe just a hair better, but anyway. So let's get this put on, get it adjusted. All right, she's in, she's running, she's lined up. Everything's lined up where it's supposed to be. It's tracking good. Tension is about right. And everything's tight. And we should be good to go. And there we go. Let's get this table on there. All right, it's 3:45, about 2.5 hours later. After some improvising and overcoming, had to fix some strip bolts and had to fix wiring a couple more little things on my box here. This is the control box. It basically turns saw on right there. That switch right there. And then the sled right here. Turn it down for it just to crawl. You know, I want to go backwards. Yeah, go backwards. Fast or slow. And when it gets to the limit, it stops by itself. It's one of these little limits right here, and it's a little lever, and it pushes up against that, and it opens the circuit. The same thing goes on up here at the very infeed side. So when it hits that little lever right there, that shuts the circuit off. It's driven by a winch with a, I don't know, 200-pound rope on it, and that's cut 70, 80 logs. One of these days I'll probably have to replace that, but it's still running. Wire rope will cut your fingers. And shot a little grease on the pulleys, shot a little grease in the slides right here, and they're pretty slick. All right, while this thing is running, I've activated this winch, and of course it's a little bit noisy and you couldn't hear what I was saying anyway. But this is just a worn winch mounted up there, and it runs off this 100 amp battery charger that allows me to slow it down from 6 volt, 12 volt to 6 volt. So if I really want to go slow, I can turn the thing down and get it to really just to a crawl. This works good with the 12 volt and the 220 volt system working together. I am controlling the on and off switch with a 24 volt relay and or a 12 volt relay, and it's basically switching it over at a control box that's over by the wall, and that way I can do the remote on and off switching on that. So let's get back to the video. There's my controller box that I fit in there. I bypassed the winch, regular winch controls. This right here and this right here is not being used. I'm basically firing off the electrical motor coming into here. I'm controlling the electric motor by a power width modulator inside that box, and then over here's my switches, and this is the rheostat for it, and then your bandsaw motor. So whenever you're cutting, you never know when it's gonna get bound up. You want to keep it all handy there. And of course, the original setup over there is as factory. That start button, you turn that off and it won't fire up. So all I got to do is unplug everything. I like to keep everything to where it works as a factory. So if I want to pull any of my modifications out and go straight back to factory, then I can do so and get her done that way. So that works out real well there, and that goes here. I have a 12 volt setup here where I was gonna plug in either whichever one you wanted, but I busted that connector. Those are pretty brittle, so that was a disappointment on that. But hey, it is what it is. You just need to order another little plastic deal and pull that out of there and stick another one in there. So, and then I could basically move it to here, and then I can use my controller from here. So that's what that would allow me to do. So all that would do is just swing up here and click right into that, and then power off of everything. So all right, and that would be using this thing and that controller that's inside that. There everything is. I'm ready to get busy and cut some wood, and we're going to get to town doing that. As that is coming back, the weight's coming up and down that unit strut. There's a couple pulleys inside there. And that goes down and hits the floor, and as soon as that hits that little relay right there, it'll turn it off. And there we go. So, and then when I flip the switch, it'll start pulling that thing up. There's some barbells in there. I've got like 95 pounds of barbells. That handles about the biggest size log that I have on here. All I'm doing is facing the resistance and the pull pressure. If you go to pushing this through here with a 2x4 or a log by your hand, you'll be worn out after 2 logs. I mean, seriously, it's just that much. So, adding that new blade in there, I'm anxious to get to see what that does on the oak. And of course, my fence here, it adjusts up and down. It's a typical Resaw deal here. That was pretty tight. I wonder if it was acting as a brake against this thing. I've got my index lines in here, both sides. That locks in, and then I'd run screws into my log. So tomorrow I'll get a handle on that and get that going. So that's what I'll be doing. And the drill is here for the screws that go into the log.